Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Foliage. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So guys, on one of my video on Philodendron Birkin, I had few questions related with the plant. A few of them said that they had yellowing of leaves, some said they had brown leaves, and some said that they had brown spots. So guys, I thought that I'm going to make a quick video on this because this can be slightly tricky. So whenever we are talking about foliage plants, let's say that there is a yellow leaf. Now it's not necessary that there is only one factor or only one reason related with yellowing of leaves. There can be couple of factors or reasons behind it. So this is something where you as an individual need to check what is going on wrong. But let me tell you a few things that can be an issue or how it tends to start. Now, if you're talking about a yellowing of leaves, there could be common four factors. If you're talking about the first one, now the first one could be when you buy a plant, let's say from a nursery or from online, especially when you're getting it from online, because usually you're buying it from another city. So when the plant tends to come to you, probably the lower leaves, maybe one or two of the leaves will turn yellow, which is a very natural process because what happens is the plant is getting acclimated to the new climate, new temperatures, new environment, probably the watering parameters, the watering routine, the amount of minerals present in the water also tends to affect. And as and when the plant is trying to get adjusted to the new environment, probably one or so the leaf will start to turn yellow, which is absolutely normal. But let's say that even after a month, maybe 2 or 3 months, even after that, you are still noticing that the leaves are still turning yellow, then there could be another three factors related with that. If you're talking about one of them would be due to the deficiency of nutrients in the soil. Usually when there is lack of nitrogen in the soil, the leaves tend to turn yellow, or probably if there is lack of magnesium in the soil, the leaves start to turn yellow. Now usually this starts with the lower leaves and then eventually starts spreading to the topmost leaves. What happens is that whenever the plant is lacking any kind of nutrients, what it tends to do is it starts taking up or sucking up all the nutrients from the lower leaves and start giving it to the upper leaves. So let's say a plant is having a deficiency of magnesium. So now because the plant is not getting enough magnesium or nitrogen in the soil, what it's going to do is it is going to start absorbing all the nutrients from the lower leaves. So eventually the lower leaves will start turning yellow because it's taking up all the nutrients from the lower leaves in order to provide it to the leaves on the upper end. But now as we are talking about Philodendron Birkin, and as I've said this in the last video as well, that they do not require a lot of nutrients because they are a very slow growing plant. So let's rule out the nutrient part. Then we have two more factors which could lead to yellowing of leaves. Now this is where things can get very tricky, and this is something wherein you will have to check individually. The last factor related with yellowing of leaves could be due to overwatering or irregular watering schedule. This can lead to yellow leaves, either because of too much of watering or too dry soil. In most cases, this will cause yellowing of leaves among your Philodendron Birkin. Now guys, if your Philodendron Birkin plants are in improper soil moisture in particular, especially if you're doing an overwatering, that could also lead to yellowing of leaves, especially when your soil is soggy wet and the plant is sitting in wet soil for a longer period of time, then it can lead to yellowing of leaves. And apart from that, if you're underwatering your Philodendron Birkin, that can also lead to yellowing of leaves. So these are two factors which you need to check individually to check which is the one that you are doing. Either are you overwatering it or you are underwatering it. So the best way to check is let the soil dry. When you notice that at least 1 to 2 inches of the upper layer of your soil is dry, you can go ahead and do a complete watering. Now always ensure that if your pot is sitting in a saucer, ensure that you do not let any water sit in the saucer. Just throw off that water which gets collected in the saucer, because that can also lead to overwatering. Now guys, if you notice that you only have few yellow leaves and that they don't look quite well on your plant, it's okay to cut them off, but it is not necessary that you have to cut it. In case if you do not like it, then you can chop it off. But let's say that if your plant is completely overwatered, let's say that almost 70 to 80% of the leaves on your Philodendron Birkin are turning yellow, then the best way is that you will have to take out the plant from the pot, dry the roots, prune out any damaged roots before potting it in a fresh pot of soil. Now ensure that whenever you are repotting it into the next pot, ensure that the drainage is proper, there are proper drain holes, the soil is porous, loose, well draining, which is the most important part when it comes to philodendron. The soil has to be well draining. Do not let the soil remain soggy wet. Do not let a lot of water be sitting in the pot. The soil has to drain out quickly. This will avoid in future your leaves turning yellow. Now let's say that if your Philodendron Birkin leaves are turning brown. Now again, there could be two reasons. One is that you have put your plant out in direct sunlight. As we have spoken about this earlier, do not put your Philodendron Birkin out in direct sunlight. It will burn the leaves. The leaves will start to turn brown if they are put in direct sunlight. And the second reason would be that there is not much of humidity in your place. For that, you'll have to either set up your humidifier, or you'll have to use the pebble tray method. So brown leaves will happen because of two reasons. One is either you're keeping your Philodendron Birkin in direct sunlight, which they do not prefer, or because the place where you have placed your plant is not having much of humidity. The plant is lacking humidity, as we have spoken about this as well. Philodendron Birkins want a lot of humidity around their surroundings. So that could also be one of the reasons that the leaves are turning brown. Now guys, talking about brown spots on the Philodendron leaves, this again deals with humidity because we all belong to very different environment. At times, a lot of people have a lot of moisture in the air. Some people have a very dry air, which means that the humidity level is very low, due to which the air is very dry. If the air is dry, then again it is going to affect your Philodendron Birkin. There are going to be a lot of brown spots. This indicates that it's lacking humidity. So the best option for you, what it would be, is either you get a humidifier, or if you're not able to buy a humidifier, then you'll have to move your Philodendron Birkin indoors, so that because usually our homes have a little bit of humidity, that would work out really well. But in most cases, if the air is dry, then the Philodendron Birkin is going to end up with brown spots. Now guys, all these things completely depends upon your care. This all completely depends upon the individual, where the plant is placed, how the plant is being taken care in terms of watering, overwatering, underwatering. All these factors tend to play a very important role, and the plant tends to give you signs about its well-being, whether it's being taken care well or it's not, because it is going to eventually show the signs like yellowing of leaves or brown leaves or having spots. So most of the time, these leaves tend to give you a lot of signs about their well-being, so it's very important to keep a check. Apart from all this, you could also notice yellow spots on the leaves. These usually happen when the plant gets affected or infested with insects or pests, especially like spider mites. They tend to hide beneath the leaves, and that's where they start causing the damage, due to which you will start noticing that yellow spots on the leaves. So it's very important to always do a routine check of your plants. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you and you were able to understand a little bit in detail about the coloring of the leaves. If this video was helpful to you, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.